Matt, I'll go to you first. Jauan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall. I mean, do you want to own any of the wide receivers in this room? Is it just strictly George Kittle and CMC for you?
I would own Pearsall personally. I think that's the one wide receiver I would have an interest in getting a share. I was going to say before you kicked it to me, all this lines up to me in my mind is two tight end sets, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, boys. Christian McCaffrey, let's buckle up and let's hope he can be healthy, because the wide receiver room is kind of in shambles. I mean, it's a little bit of a disaster right now. They want Jauan Jennings out there. He can block. You got the contract stuff. Aiyuk's hurt. So there's just so many question marks. I think they're going to have to lean on Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle to really shoulder this team and move them forward. And I think Pearsall is going to have to be the guy to step up and do it. You mentioned, Coach, he didn't play in the slot. He played all outside. That's great to see. Pete, you posed a question. What's stopping him from being the guy that shows up in these 2 wide receiver sets? I'm not sure there's anything, to be honest. I think he should be out there, and I think he will be. I mean, he poses probably the best offensive production that they can get. I mean, he's athletic. He's got great hands. He can make acrobatic catches. And we know that, this offense has got a great leader in Purdy. And then on top of that, I think that we can trust the Shanahan system to kind of produce and move the ball going forward. So I think it's wheels up for Pearsall for me. I'm not really interested in owning any other 49ers wide receiver, just given the other situations that are out there. But I still think that, Shanahan's going to find a way to produce. I don't know how competitive the team will be, but I'm at least interested.
Like, I think the narrative has changed for me a little bit. Like, it was at one point, it was Ricky Pearsall was getting a lot of opportunity, right? He has his chance. Let's see if he can capitalize. Now, I just think he's good. Like, Ricky Pearsall is the best wide receiver that they have. I know that there might be some 49er fans that might disagree with that, but they've got first-round capital tied up in Pearsall. Pearsall's really, really, really dang good. He was injured and missed the first half of last year. You saw what he could do down the stretch to finish the season last year. Now he's ready to roll. Everything's going good, and I just think he's getting ready to be the primary guy in San Fran.
Yeah, and I think this is it. This situation it's really set up for him to succeed. Overall, I was trying to get you off the big screen there. Overall, I like Ricky Pearsall. I have him as my wide receiver 28. He's going off the board as wide receiver 45 right now on Sleeper. He actually goes behind Jauan Jennings, who's wide receiver 44. Pick 94 for Jennings, pick 96 for Pearsall. Egbuka is the next wide receiver behind them. Then you have Jaden Reed, Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, Keon Coleman, Brandon Aiyuk, Darnell Mooney, Rashid Shaheed. I mean, I personally, guys, I would take Ricky Pearsall over, Khalil Shakir, who goes ahead of him. I would take Ricky Pearsall over Matthew Golden, who I have bumped up in my rankings. I would take him over Chris Godwin very, very comfortably. Cooper Kupp, Jacoby Myers, Jordan Addison, Stephon Diggs, Deebo Samuel, Roma Dunze, and Chris Olave are just behind him for me. I take him over Jerry Jeudy. I take him over Waddle. I take him over Travis Hunter. I take him over George Pickens. That's how high I am on Ricky Pearsall. And I totally understand that I might be higher than a lot of other people are, but I think the cost and for this room, like Kyle Shanahan typically has a 1,000 yard wide receiver in his room every single year. I think last year might have been the one year he didn't over the last couple of years, but traditionally, they have one guy there at the wide receiver position that has produced pretty strongly. I think Pearsall is going to be that guy. Brandon Aiyuk has had the issues in the doghouse, with Kyle Shanahan. So I think that's something to note too, right? He's going to start off slow, and we've seen the issues with Aiyuk, and we've seen teams be okay with bad contracts, right? Cutting bait. I'm not saying they're going to cut Aiyuk this year, but with Jauan Jennings asking for a contract, I like Jauan Jennings. I think he's a good player, but I think he topped out a little bit last year, and I think he made the most out of his opportunities. But Ricky Pearsall is the best player in this room by far, and it's a great offense. I mean, you have Kittle, you have CMC, and I don't know. I'm just super, super high on Pearsall. He was a first round pick for me. He steps into an awesome situation. Could he be, third fiddle in terms of target share behind CMC and Kittle? It's very possible, but he should probably, if he's the number one target, there's a very strong possibility he's at least top 2 in targets in this offense behind Kittle, who I think might have the most, to be completely honest with you. But I love Ricky Pearsall. Is there anything specific else that you guys want to add to Ricky Pearsall or just his 49ers room, or are we ready to move on?
Yeah, just real quick. I think it's worth noting, too, that Pearsall, his best 2 games were week 17 and 18 last year. He was healthy. He had a majority of the snap share, 92%, 70%. In those 2 weeks, he had 18 targets with, I think, 14 catches for almost 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he performed. So I think he can do it going forward.
Yeah, I noted it.
The point we're trying to really make is that there's so much value with Ricky Pearsall. Whether it's redraft, dynasty, whatever, there's a lot of value there, especially where he's going in drafts.
Tons of upside.
Tons of upside. I would say when he got the opportunity, and Matt, you highlighted it, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I ran them about a month ago on Pearsall. But it was true. When Pearsall was finally given the opportunity to run more than 20 routes, which he was at the end of the season there, like, he shined. He looked phenomenal. And so you also got to keep in mind, there's a guy that had the gunshot wound, right? He had the hamstring injury. Like, those things slowed him down, right? And so those are all things to keep in mind. I do want to check out the chat here really quick and see what we have going on. Joe Carlton said the only concern with Pearsall is him being able to stay on the field. I agree. I think, the little bit of a hamstring injury popped up in the offseason, but I think they kept him out of training camp just because they wanted to get him up to speed. And honestly, the 49ers and their health guys, I mean, it's such a weird – I don't even understand what the heck's going on there. And then there was a question by CTH. I'm not going to try to pronounce that whole name there. Said, isn't Pearsall